In my 10 years as a wedding planner, I've dealt with every kind of bride imaginable, but this one was special. She didn't just want the perfect wedding, she wanted to burn my entire career to the ground to get it. What she didn't realize is that I keep very, very detailed invoices. My name is Julian, and I orchestrate dreams for a living. I'm the guy people call when they want a flawlessly executed, magazine spread-worthy wedding without lifting a finger. I'm known for my patience, my meticulous attention to detail, and my almost supernatural ability to remain calm in the face of near-biblical levels of family drama. I've seen fistfights over frosting flavors and sobbing breakdowns because a particular shade of periwinkle wasn't quite periwinkle enough. I thought I was battle-hardened. I thought I was immune. Then I met Ashley. She and her fiancé, Tom, walked into my chic, minimalist office on a sunny Tuesday. Or rather, she swept in, and he trailed behind her like a dinghy tied to a yacht. Ashley was immaculate, dressed in a designer outfit that probably cost more than my monthly rent. She had the kind of sharp, predatory beauty that looked stunning in photos but was terrifying up close. Tom was nice. He had a kind, open face, a slightly bewildered smile, and the defeated posture of a man who had long ago surrendered in a war he never even realized he was fighting. "Julian, darling," Ashley began, not so much greeting me as announcing her presence. She didn't offer a handshake, just surveyed my office with a critical eye, as if checking for dust. "I've heard you're the best. I expect nothing less." Tom shuffled forward and offered me a warm, firm handshake. "It's great to meet you. We're so excited." "Well, she is. I am too, of course." He gave a weak chuckle. The initial consultation was less of a collaboration and more of a dictation. Ashley had a binder. It was 5 inches thick, bedazzled with her new initials, and organized with a precision that would make a drill sergeant weep. For 2 hours, she laid out her vision, a simple, understated affair at a historic countryside estate that would involve a custom-built glass pavilion, a Michelin-starred chef flown in from France, and a flock of white doves to be released the moment they were pronounced husband and wife. "The budget," she declared with a wave of her perfectly manicured hand, "was unlimited." Music to a wedding planner's ears, right? Wrong. An unlimited budget in the hands of a reasonable person is a dream. In the hands of a narcissist, it's a weapon. The first red flag, which in hindsight was more of a giant, blood-red, furiously flapping banner, came during the cake tasting. We were at the city's most exclusive patisserie. The chef, a lovely woman named Marie, presented 6 exquisite miniature cakes. Ashley took a tiny, disdainful bite of the first one, a delicate lemon and elderflower creation. "Ugh, it tastes like a garden," she sneered. Marie smiled politely. "It's a very fresh, floral profile, yes." Ashley pushed the plate away. "It's peasant food." Next. She proceeded to systematically demolish every single one of Marie's creations, her comments growing more vicious with each bite. The chocolate raspberry was cloying, the salted caramel was aggressively pedestrian, and the classic vanilla bean was, and I quote, "an insult to my palate." Tom, meanwhile, was quietly enjoying every single one. "This one's really good, honey," he'd murmur, only to be silenced by a glacial stare from Ashley that could freeze larvae. I saw him try to discreetly finish one of the rejected slices when he thought she wasn't looking. Finally, Ashley pointed a dagger-like nail at Marie. "Look, I want a 7-tiered cake. The outside will be white, obviously. But I want each tier to be a different, exotic flavor. I'll send you a list." And if any of them taste like they came from a box, I'll personally ensure this little bakery of yours is a parking lot by next year." Marie's face paled. I stepped in, my voice dangerously calm. "Ashley, Marie is one of the most respected pastry chefs in the country. I can assure you, nothing she makes comes from a box." Ashley turned her ice-cold gaze on me. "Are you contradicting me, Julian?" Tom quickly jumped in. "No, no, of course not, babe. He's just saying she's good. We want the best." "And you're the best, Marie," he said, giving the shell-shocked chef a desperate, pleading look. This became the pattern. Ashley would make an impossible, often abusive demand. A vendor would look horrified. I would try to gently mediate. Tom would panic and throw money and frantic apologies at the problem until it went away. She screamed at a florist for suggesting peonies were out of season, calling her an incompetent horticulturist. She made a seamstress cry by claiming the custom-designed dress made her look fat, despite having the physique of a greyhound. My emails and phone calls started coming at all hours. 3 a.m. texts with subject lines like "crisis napkin color is more eggshell than ivory." I was no longer a planner. I was a hostage negotiator, a therapist, and a verbal punching bag. The only thing that kept me going was my contract, specifically the payment schedule. 50% upfront, 40% 2 weeks before the wedding, and the final 10% on the day of, before the reception began. Crucially, all payments were non-refundable within the final month. That was my ironclad rule, the one that protected me from last-minute cancellations and client regret. The real trouble started about a month before the wedding. We were finalizing the seating chart, a task that brings out the worst in even the nicest of people. For Ashley, it was an opportunity to exercise her cruelty on a grand scale. "Put Tom's Aunt Carol at the back table, next to the kitchen," she said, tapping a name with her pen. "She wears these god-awful polyester pantsuits. I don't want her ruining the aesthetic." "But she's his godmother," I said, trying to keep my voice even. "And the kitchen doors will be swinging open all night." "Then she'll get her food first. Consider it a favor." Tom, who was present for this particular torture session, finally found a sliver of a spine. "Ashley, we can't do that. Aunt Carol is family. She'll be heartbroken." Ashley let out a sigh that sounded like air escaping a punctured tire. "Thomas, this is not a family reunion. It's an event. It's my event. Are you going to be a problem?" He deflated instantly. "No, of course not." She smirked and continued her brutalist restructuring of his family tree. It was then that her groomsman named Chad walked in. He was the best man, a slick, handsome guy with the easy confidence of someone who had never been told no in his life. "Hey, guys. Ash, your car is here," he said, his eyes lingering on her a moment too long. "Thanks, Chatty," she cooed, her entire demeanor changing. The Ice Queen melted into a giggling schoolgirl. "I'll be right there." She stood up, gave Tom a perfunctory peck on the cheek, and sashayed out of the room with Chad, who had his hand resting a little too low on her back. I didn't think much of it at the time. Rich people are weirdly tactile. But it was a piece of the puzzle, one I wouldn't understand until later. The breaking point for me, the moment I knew I couldn't just grit my teeth and get through this, happened 2 weeks before the wedding. I was at the venue for a final walkthrough with the lighting technicians. My phone rang. It was a number I didn't recognize. "Is this Julian, the wedding planner?" a woman's voice asked. She sounded nervous. "It is." How can I help you? My name is well, it doesn't matter. I'm a friend of Chad's. The best man in the wedding you're planning. I thought someone should know. He's been sleeping with the bride for the past 6 months. He was bragging about it last night. He said she's only marrying Tom for his family money and plans to divorce him in a year or two. I'm sorry. That groom seems like a nice guy. The line went dead. I stood there in the middle of the empty ballroom, the phone feeling like a block of ice in my hand. Everything clicked into place, the lingering touches, the private jokes between Ashley and Chad, her complete and utter disdain for her fiancé. It wasn't just bridezilla behavior. It was contempt. My blood ran cold, then hot with rage. Rage for Tom, who was being played for a fool. Rage for myself, for all the vendors she had terrorized. Rage for the entire institution of marriage that she was turning into a grotesque mockery. My first instinct was to call Tom and tell him everything. But how? Hi, Tom, your wedding planner here. By the way, your fiancé is sleeping with your best friend. Have a great day. I'd be sued into oblivion. Ashley would unleash a smear campaign that would destroy my business. I had no proof, just an anonymous phone call. It would be my word against hers, and she had the money and the ruthlessness to bury me. I went home and pulled out my contract. I read it line by line, my mind racing. I couldn't just walk away. The second to last payment had just cleared. Quitting now would mean a massive financial loss and, again, professional suicide when she inevitably trashed my name. Then I saw it. A few months prior, after a particularly nasty client tried to bully me into a refund with threats of bad reviews, my lawyer had suggested adding a new clause. It was a mutual non-disparagement agreement. It stipulated that neither party could make any public or private statements, written or verbal, that would defame, disparage, or in any way criticize the other. At the time, Ashley had demanded it be made ironclad, likely to prevent me from ever speaking about her monstrous behavior. She had, in her arrogance, handed me the perfect shield. But a shield wasn't enough. I wanted a sword. I wanted justice. And that's when the idea began to form. It was audacious, unprofessional, and incredibly risky. But it was also perfect. For the next 2 weeks, I became a man possessed. I did my job flawlessly, responding to Ashley's every whim with a newfound, almost serene politeness. This only seemed to infuriate her more, but I didn't care. Behind my placid smile, I was plotting. I'm meticulous by nature. My job is all about documentation, invoices, purchase orders, timelines, receipts. I decided to apply that same skill set to my revenge. I hired a discreet private investigator, a former cop I'd used once before to vet a suspicious vendor. I gave him a name, Chad, and a mission: confirm the affair and get me concrete proof. I told him I had a client who suspected her fiancé was cheating and wanted evidence before the wedding. It was a slight bending of the truth, but effective. The PI was good. Frighteningly good. Within a week, he had what I needed. Photos of Ashley and Chad meeting at a boutique hotel downtown. Copies of hotel receipts paid for by Chad. He even managed to get a screenshot of a particularly incriminating text exchange, something about a final fling the night before the wedding. The cost of his services was steep, but I considered it a business expense, an investment in justice. I spent hours in my office, not on floral arrangements, but on creating a different kind of masterpiece. I used my professional invoicing software, the same template I used for all my clients. At the top, in elegant calligraphy, it read: Invoice of services rendered. Client: Ashley and Tom. Project: the foundation of your marriage. Date of service: January 2025. Present. But instead of line items for catering, deposit, or venue rental, it listed something else entirely. I coded everything. Item: private consultation and strategy session with project partner Chad. Date and time: multiple occurrences. See attached calendar. Location: the Grand Hotel, Suite 1201. Expense: $450/hour. Suite rate x 12 hours equals $5,400.00. Item: off-site team building exercise Chad. Date and time: February 14th, 2025. Valentine's Day. Location: Lakeside Cabin, Pine Mountain. Expense: weekend rental fee equals $1,200.00. Item: procurement of discretionary assets. Description: lingerie La Perler, Champagne Veuve Cliquot. Expense: see attached receipts equals $2,350.00. And so on. I listed every single piece of evidence the PI had gathered, translating it into the cold, hard language of a business transaction. I included dates, times, and locations. The attached receipts were, of course, the photos and screenshots, which I had printed on high-quality photo paper. The grand total at the bottom was listed not in dollars, but as a total cost to groom one marriage. I printed the entire document on the same heavy, cream-colored cardstock we were using for the wedding menus. I slipped it all into a crisp, matching envelope. On the front, in my best handwriting, I wrote: for Tom, to be opened when you're ready for the truth. The wedding day arrived. It was a beautiful, crisp autumn afternoon. The venue looked breathtaking. Ashley, for her part, looked like a vision in her $10,000 dress. She was still a monster, of course. She'd already made one of her bridesmaids cry and had threatened to fire the hairstylist because one curl was supposedly out of place. I walked through the entire event like a ghost, a calm smile fixed on my face. I coordinated the vendors. I cued the musicians. I made sure every candle was lit. When Ashley's father walked her down the aisle, I saw Tom at the altar. He was beaming, his eyes shining with so much love for this woman who was about to shatter his world. A pain of guilt hit me, but I pushed it down. This wasn't cruelty. It was surgery. A painful but necessary amputation. The ceremony was sickeningly perfect. They exchanged vows they didn't mean and rings that symbolized a lie. The doves were released on cue, soaring into the blue sky. The guests cheered. As the happy couple walked back down the aisle, my final tasks began. I collected the final 10% payment via a pre-authorized credit card charge. I confirmed with every vendor that their final payments had been processed. Once every transaction was complete and non-refundable, my contract was fulfilled. My work was officially done. As the guests moved towards the cocktail hour, I saw my moment. Tom was standing alone for a second, looking out over the manicured lawns as Ashley was swarmed by well-wishers. I approached him, my heart pounding in my chest. "Tom," I said quietly. He turned, his face lit with a huge, happy grin. "Julian, you did it, man. It's perfect. She's happy." "I'm glad," I said, my voice softer than I intended. "I just have one final piece of paperwork for you. My final invoice." I handed him the cream-colored envelope. He looked confused. I thought we were all paid up. This is a different kind of invoice, I said, looking him directly in the eye. Read it, or don't. It's your choice, but I believe you deserve to know the full cost of today. He took the envelope, his brow furrowed in confusion. I gave him a single, solemn nod, turned around, and walked away. I didn't look back. I got in my car and drove off the property, my hands shaking so badly I could barely grip the steering wheel. I didn't hear anything for 2 days. It was the most agonizing 48 hours of my life. I imagined a dozen scenarios. Tom confronts her, she denies everything, and they team up to sue me. Tom ignores the envelope, and I'm left wondering forever. Tom has a massive, public breakdown, and the whole thing ends up on the news. Then, on the third day, I got an email. It was from Tom's lawyer. It was brief and to the point. He was formally requesting a copy of my service contract, specifically the non-disparagement clause. He also informed me that Tom had filed for an annulment on the grounds of fraud, and that the documentation I had provided was being submitted as evidence. The lawyer concluded by saying, "Mr. Thompson expresses his deepest gratitude for your professional discretion." A week later, a package arrived at my office. It was a bottle of Pappy Van Winkle's 23-year-old bourbon, one of the rarest and most expensive whiskeys in the world. The attached card had only 3 words on it: "Thank you, Julian." Ashley, of course, tried to retaliate. She blew up my phone with screaming, incoherent voicemails. She sent threatening texts. Then, her lawyer sent me a cease and desist letter, threatening a lawsuit for defamation and breach of contract. My lawyer's response was a thing of beauty. He simply sent back a copy of our contract, with a mutual non-disparagement clause she had insisted on highlighted in yellow. He pointed out that since I had never said a word to anyone, I had merely delivered a private document to my client as part of my final deliverables. I had not breached the contract. She, however, with her voicemails and threats, was in direct violation. If she were to post a single fake review or make one public statement, we would sue her into the next century. She was trapped in a cage of her own making. The same clause she was going to use to silence me was now silencing her. I never heard from her again. I read in a gossip column a few months later that the annulment had been granted, and that her family's social standing had taken a significant hit after whispers of the scandal got out. Chad, apparently, was dropped by her and his friends so fast he left a vapor trail. Sometimes I wonder if I did the right thing. As a professional, I crossed a line. But as a human being, I saw a good, kind man being led to the slaughter by 2 truly awful people, and I gave him a way out. I didn't blow up the wedding. I didn't cause a public scene. I simply delivered a final, detailed invoice. And sometimes, the truth is the most explosive revenge of all. The story became something of a legend among the high-end vendor community. No one knows the exact details, but they know that Julian, the calm, polite wedding planner, is not someone to be messed with. My business has never been better, and now, at every initial consultation, I look my potential clients in the eye and I know that while I'm there to help them build their dream, I'm also looking for the nightmare, because I keep very, very detailed invoices. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe and give this video a like. We appreciate everyone and can't wait to bring more stories your way.